Everyone, it's Emily Fox. Today's video is going to be the mid-year book freakout. I love this book tag. I try to do it every year because it's a time where I need to look at what's going on with my reading and I can reassess. I will be doing a video about my stats and all of my challenges, but it's going to be fun to just look at my new favorite authors, which books disappointed me, and just to chat about what I'm hoping to do for the rest of 2022. As always, I would love to hear your answers in the comment section, so don't hesitate. Question number 1. Best book you've read so far in 2022. Okay, this year, after 2 years of pretty so-so reading, I am having the time of my life. The beginning of the year was rough, but the last 2 months I read like 14 books each month. It's been absolutely insane. June looks like it's going to be the same. So I have found a lot of new favorites. I will be sticking to fiction for this video. I'll do a whole video about all the nonfiction because I have read a ton at the end of the year. But fiction, I have two. I can't choose one. The first one is going to be Dawn by Octavia E. Butler. This is a first contact with aliens. It is intense. It's pretty short. It's like 250 pages. It's a quick read. Humanity, we killed off each other. Nuclear war. And aliens arrive and swoop in and save some of the remnant of humanity. And they try to find a way to, cohabitate with us, and things get interesting. It's very, very unique, but I really enjoy how the author in general tends to use these sci-fi elements to discuss things like gender, sexuality, and it's great. It's great. The second one I just finished, and I need to give it a shout out, and it is Shadow of the Wind, which it took me 6 years. 6 years it was gathering dust on my bookshelf, and I finally picked it up and I loved it. The writing is so beautiful. I completely understand the hype. I've realized that I've mentioned I'm more an action-driven kind of person, but I think it's just because I'm picky with the ones that are more character-driven or even like writing. It's just the writing that's pretty. In this case, you're following a young boy. His dad brought him when he was a kid to the cemetery of forgotten books, and he picked one up and binge read it overnight and wanted to read more by the author, and then he realizes that someone is going around buying all of the books, so he probably has the only copy of The Shadow of the Wind, and he's burning them. So kind of the intrigue, and it's very, very character driven, back and forth trying to learn about the life of the author. I really, really loved it. Honestly, just fantastic. I just wish there was a little less sexism, but that's a common complaint for me. But yes, I loved it. We'll be continuing the series. Question number 2, best sequel you've read so far in 2022. I feel personally victimized by this question. 1000%. I'm so called out because last year I had realized I was terrible at finishing series. I had counted and I had finished, I believe 20, I started 20 series and I had only finished like 1 or 2, something ridiculous like that. So it is one of my challenges in 2022 to try and finish 10 series. So far, I have finished 1, and it's one that I started this year, so things are not doing great. To be fair, there's one I'm not planning on continuing after reading book 2 this year, so like 1.5. And just to let you know, I did start 8 new series this year. Things are fantastic. So yes, technically, I've only finished 2 sequels, so like it doesn't give me much of a choice for this question because one of them, The Magician King, I'm not planning on continuing the series, so clearly I didn't enjoy it. So it leaves me with only the book after Dawn in the same series by Octavia E. Butler, which is Adulthood Rights, which was great. It was great. If I'm cheating a little bit, I'm currently in the middle of book 2 in the Monk and Robot series by Becky Chambers. This is A Prayer for the Crown Shy, and so far I'm enjoying it. I'm like halfway through. Whoops. I'm like 75 pages. It's like literally halfway through. I had to put it down to do a challenge, which I don't know if it's up yet. I'm reading a book recommendation from the K-pop group Red Velvet, so I had to put this down to read those books, but like I'm enjoying it, but it doesn't really count for this video, does it? I think actually Adulthood Rights would still win. So this is the winner. Not a lot of competition for it, but it's the winner for question 2. Number 3, a new release you haven't read yet, but you want to. How many times am I going to mention I have yet to read this book? It is getting embarrassing. To Paradise, which this I think will win the best spine of the year because how pretty is this? Unfortunately, I'm now terrified of this book. The size of it, the fact that the reviews have been a little bit hit and miss. Apparently there's like 3 parts and like people's interest goes up and down, and I need to just not think about it and focus on the fact that I love her writing when I read A Little Life, and I've been meaning to read more by her. So like, just suck it up, Buttercup, and read it. I literally never say that, so I don't know what happened there, but maybe I need to suck it up. Coffee's somehow just hitting today. Question number 4. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Okay, I'm cheating. I'm mentioning 2. I always do that. Upgrade by Blake Crouch is coming out at the end of July. I am dying to read more by him. I love Dark Matter and Recursion by him. I have been raving about his stuff constantly. I tend to call them like my dad's recommendation. They're just safe recommendation for dads, or like any men in your life. They're like very readable. You can't put them down. Their writing is so female characters kind of talk, but they really like movies and they're really fun. So I'm hoping that Upgrade will be the same for me again. The second one is Babel. Is that how you pronounce it? I swear, like the French always wants to come out when I see that word, Babel, or The Necessity of Violence. Great title. It's very long, but this is also a dream come true. If you like dark academia, this seems like it will be what we need in our lives. I mean, I really love The Puppy War with the same author, so I'm really looking forward to that one. That one is coming out in August, end of August. So definitely the 2 that I really want to read this summer the minute they are available. Question number 5, the biggest disappointment. Okay, this is where I go on a rant, a very long rant. The Last Wish, the first book, short story collection in the Witcher series. This is exactly the kind of fantasy books I have no more interest in reading or supporting or mentioning, really. Once I'm done talking about it in my most hated books of the year, of course, same thing, I will never talk about this book again. I'm just so tired of all the excuses. I put a review on Goodreads, I put all the quotes, and I'm so tired of like, oh, it's medieval inspired. No, it's a fantasy world. There's magic. Stop with the excuses. There's no reason for every female character to be sexually assaulted. Like, you can create a really dark world without that happening. You can create a dark, like morally gray character without him noticing the pointy breasts of a 14-year-old. Like, it's just so gross. I'm so tired. Like, even the priestess of fertility made a rape joke. Like, for fudge sakes, like, come on. I'm just so exhausted. I read this book because I wanted to read more about Yennefer. I love witches, and I watched a TV show. And even if, this is my point, even if there wasn't any sexism and misogyny in this book, even if, I still think it would be boring, because it's pretty much the same thing as the TV show, but worse. It's just boring. They're short stories, and I know everyone is always saying like, oh, the world is so interesting. Where? And this is where people are like, oh, you're out of context. This is the first book. Like, if I have to read 10 books to like it, no. Like, I had the same arguments when people were saying that with like Throne of Glass, which like, I will not read 10 books in order to like the series or the character. It doesn't work that way. If you can't sell me from the first book, I will not spend more time on it. So if it wasn't a popular TV show and video game, you cannot convince me that this would be popular. I know it became popular, but how? This sucked. It sucked. And you add the misogyny. At the end of the day, there's a difference between a sexist world, sexist character, or sexist author, and this one, 1000% the latter. Number 6, biggest surprise, easily Piranesi. Easily. I had been nervous to pick it up, but we were reading it for the Patreon book club. A lot of people were raving about it, saying that it was kind of weird, and I put it down after 3 pages. I was done. I couldn't stand it, but because it was the book club pick, I forced myself to try it again and loved it. So if it wasn't for the book club, I would have never discovered this wonderful book. Do be warned that it's complicated in the beginning because the main character is confused. That's why you're confused when you're reading it, which now that I know, But yes, it's very strange. It's kind of dark academia-ish with just magical realism, which I usually don't like, but I loved it with this one. It just somehow worked. If you are someone that likes really like pretty writing, I would recommend this one. Loved it. Number 7, favorite new author. It is so hard to choose one, but I think I'm gonna go with John Steinbeck because I read East of Eden by him and really loved it, especially the first half. New favorite character, Samuel. My God, I do have a thing for like really wholesome characters, but he was just a gem. And I Love the writing. Love the writing. Would love to read, will read more by him. My only thing with this one is that I'm not sure how I feel yet about the ending. Like, I'm still a little bit on the fence, and I'm not sure how I feel about what happened with Kate's character, but overall, absolutely love this. Love the writing. I didn't think I was going to love it as much as I did. Question number 8. Newest fictional crush. I don't get crushes. I probably don't read the right kind of books to get crushes. Because like I'm thinking cute romance that I've read, it's just like book lovers, and like I didn't develop a crush on anyone. Like it was a cute book, but like I wasn't feeling it that much, you know? So I decided to mention favorite female friendship because that's pretty cool too. And I would have to mention My Brilliant Friend, which I've only read the first book so far, but I will be binge reading the rest of the series. And I just really enjoy complex female relationships, and this is great. This is great. This is basically one of two friends that is writing their whole relationship story and starting with the childhood, which is the first book. So hopefully I end up loving the rest of the series as much as the first one, but yes, I really enjoyed the relationship. Which brings us to the ninth question, which is newest favorite character. I really struggled to also, I mean, I guess Samuel could count too, super wholesome, but I don't feel like that makes him very interesting. So I think I'm going to go with Lila, which is the friend that disappears, so her friend write their whole story. She's interesting. She's stubborn, she goes for what she wants, and I'm hoping things will go well for her, but I don't think it will. So I'm rooting for her though. Question number 10, a book that made you cry. Okay, I don't cry. I don't cry also, which you know what? I'm planning on doing a video now where I will be reading the saddest book you have read. What book made you cry nonstop? Leave them in the comment section and I'm going to record myself. I'm going to do a vlog choosing like 2 or 3 of them and we'll see what happens because I cannot remember the last time I cried while reading a book. I will cry when I watch a movie, but not when I read a book. Was it last year? I read Still Alice and then watched a movie. Didn't cry while reading the book, but I cried like 7 times while watching the movie. So let's see if we can change that for me. But I still have 2 recommendations of like the saddest books that I've read this year. The first one would have to be Kim Ji-young, born 1982, which was also part of my reading vlog, the Red Velvet recommendations. And this, wow, was I not prepared. It's basically about this woman living in South Korea and her whole life story between like childhood to being married with one kid. And it's written very, very dry, but things make sense at the end. It's kind of explained. And it's just relentless. Yeah. And I had just finished the audiobook Unwell Women, which is about mistreatment of women in medicine throughout time. And back to back, I didn't cry, but man, you know, would highly recommend both of them for sure. Number 11, book that made you happy. Okay, I have been really enjoying myself reading this year, but once again, I don't feel like I've read that many books that are super happy. Like, I think the most wholesome book I've read is definitely this one. I'm not done, so it doesn't count. So I'm gonna go with Timeline by Michael Crichton because I hadn't read a time travel book in forever. It's kind of historical fiction mixed with sci-fi, which again, I don't read a ton of historical fiction, and I was having a lot of fun while reading it. Super quick read, even though it's like 400 plus pages, and it was fun. I did try to watch the movie. Yeah, it was something. It was something. Number 12, the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year. Okay, I have 2 once again. I didn't buy it, but it says or received. I won this one as a Goodreads giveaway. This is an ARC. It's not out yet. It's coming out next month. And I think this is one of the most beautiful books. I'm so happy it came with like a postcard, which I will find a spot for this because I think it's gorgeous. And I enjoyed Kim Ji-young book so much that I bought this edition. It's coming. You'll see it in my next haul video. But isn't it pretty? I love it. It works so well with the story. And I've already mentioned this spine, right? Last but not least, 13, we have what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Well, I've mentioned a couple of my challenges, like finishing book series, which 10, I have a lot of work. A lot of work to do. Like, I think I'm gonna do, you know what, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I haven't read a ton of fantasy this year, weirdly enough. It's usually my most read genre, or like second after sci-fi. This year, I'm not even sure both of them make it to my top 3. Like, it's so strange. We're gonna fix that though for second half of the year, because I'm finally starting to be in the mood for them. So I think I'm gonna do a challenge, like just reading fantasy or just like continuing series sequels for like a reading vlog, and try to read like a couple, because they're all really big though. But I mean, I need to get to it because it's my challenge and I want to. That's what, like, why do I have this blockage? Because I'm really looking forward to it, so there's no excuses. I'm also planning on doing reading my pile of shame, which I try to do every summer. For anyone who doesn't know, basically books that I put down for no reason. None. And I just have yet to finish them. I have so many. I will put them probably in my July TBR, and I'll show you the ones so you can vote which ones you would like me to read. But Kings of the Wild is definitely up on my list for sure, because damn, I need to. I probably could also try to continue The Wheel of Time, because I've only read 50 pages of the second book. I also recently did a video where I was reading some of the oldest book on my TBR, the ones that had been on my shelf for the longest, so pretty much 6 years to today. I still had 2 books that I got at the same time that I could do a second reading vlog, which I probably will do, because it was a really good like kick in the butt, and it turned out pretty well. Like, one of them was a 5 stars and one of them was like a 3.5. So like, why did I wait 6 years for that? So yeah, I have a ton of challenges for the end of the year, the second half of the year. Definitely leave me any that you would have in the comment section. I want to do more, because like I said, like, I want to do the one I mentioned, reading the saddest books you've read. I think I'm going to try to do more of those, asking your recommendations also, and I'm going to like flip-flop between the ones I've mentioned and those ones. So I've been really enjoying doing those lately. I hope you do too. And yes, this is going to be it for this little book tag. I love it. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be doing a best books that I've read so far this year very soon, because like I said, I've been reading so many fantastic books and I just want to recommend them. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thumbs up, subscribe. I will be putting some of the videos I've mentioned on the screen so you can check them out, and I will be seeing you in an upcoming video very soon. Bye. Kiss on a cheek, or loving just like